nutty how that works, huh? See, the goaltender, who's allowed to do this, makes a few saves early. Elevates his game a little bit. The rest of the team feeds off it, kind of punches the reset button, and proceeds to a really, really nice overall victory. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning from Detroit. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Penguins 6, Red Wings 3, and by the time it was done, what the Penguins were doing to the home team was so thorough, so all over the ice, and so involving everyone that you almost forgot, that the first period, especially the first 10 to 12 minutes, were nothing more than a continuation of the grotesque home opener against the Rangers, with one exception. See, the goaltending position is frequently referred to as the most important in hockey, and that's for the simple and clear reason that it is. No one player can control the outcome quite like the goaltender, and that can work for better or worse. On Wednesday night, back home, Tristan Jarry was just a guy. The first period gave up a couple of goals maybe he wouldn't have wanted to. Gave up another on a deflection, and those almost always get forgiven. And by the time that first period was done, so were the Penguins, and they were all brought down. You could see it. They were all brought down. Was that Jarry's fault? No. Was it to his credit? No. And that, my friends, is the story of his career, which is why I've tired not only of talking about him, but of watching him, of waiting to see what's supposed to happen with him as if he's still like a prospect. He isn't. He's exactly what he is. He's exactly what he's been. There's not about to be some sort of grand transformation. He'll show you what he showed you in the first period Wednesday night, and he'll show you what he showed you in the second and third periods where he was making all these super spectacular acrobatic saves. And at the end of the night, the Penguins will have lost. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season. From Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. On this night, the Penguins won. And Joel Blomqvist, in his NHL debut at age 22, made 29 saves to get his first W, but that doesn't even come close to telling the tale. In the first period, he was inundated. The Penguins might as well have had their skates stapled to the ice. They were of no use to him. They were of no use to society in those first few minutes, just standing there, while the Red Wings just kept pounding. And he'd end up, the kid would, stopping 13 out of 14 shots that period, and the Penguins, thanks to a goal by Anthony Beauvillier, emerged from that period with the most undeserved 1-1 tie in NHL history. But then they came out for the second period and they looked a lot more like what they'd been expecting, what they'd been working toward, and what they rightly felt they were capable of. And then they scored some goals. And they kept scoring and they chased Ville Husso. Beauvillier ended up with 2 goals. Drew O'Connor had another one too that was waved off on a hand pass. Erik Karlsson scored on a power play. Kevin Hayes scored. And all of it, every last bit of it, was owed to the kid in net, because if he doesn't do what he did, which I will repeat, he is allowed to do, they don't even have that opportunity. They don't have a chance to regain any semblance of poise. And then who knows how that would have affected them being 0-2, heading on next to Toronto and Montreal, and having everybody cut them down and cast doubt and break this up. What were they thinking, keeping these guys together and whatever? 0-2 really magnifies that sentiment, whether you happen to buy it or not. Listen to what Hayes told me after the game about Blomqvist.
I mean, I'm sure he probably wasn't sleeping all day. Pretty nerve-wracking. I remember my first NHL game. It's so many emotions, and I think it's easier for players to have their first NHL game than goalies. Because if you have one bad shift as a player, you have about 30 more shifts. But if you let up a bad goal in your first game, it's hard to come back. I thought he was fantastic. They scored early, and he kept us in there. I thought we kind of tilted the rink the rest of the game, but yeah, he was a huge part of the team victory tonight, and super nice kid. Super happy for him and his family.
That's pretty good stuff, huh? Not just the personal aspect of it, but the effect that he had on the rest of the team. Others echoed that. Carlson told me that. Pettersson told me that. Mike Sullivan said it. Described Blomqvist as having had a big impact, direct quote, those three words, a big impact on what had just happened. And this, and I don't care if it sounds petty to compare him, it's one game. I'm not anointing Blomqvist as the franchise savior or whatever after one game. But I do feel it's fair after several years to look at how that contrasts with what you tend to get from Jari. He'll show you that he has the talent. He'll also show you that he can't make the timely save. He'll give up the goals late in periods or late in games, as he did again Wednesday night, by the way. And he'll also seldom be the reason that you win. He'll seldom be the guy who takes you to that next level where you feel like you're a good hockey team just because you're looking up at the scoreboard, even if it's totally misleading. You see 1-1 up there and you're thinking, you know what? We're in this. Let's just play. Let's see where it goes. I know that I'll be deeply disappointed if Blomqvist's not in net again tomorrow night against the Maple Leafs. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Eric, who says, how nice was it, DK, to see Anthony Beauvillier, Drew O'Connor, Marcus Pettersson, Kevin Hayes, Erik Karlsson score the goals without having to rely on the norm to put the pucks in the net. It's funny. I hadn't really even thought of that. And when you look at the way the game played out, and maybe this is why I didn't think of it, the first goal came on a play that basically Sidney Crosby created, although Jesse Puljujarvi had a really nice keep up the right boards that I would ask Mike Sullivan about later, and he had all kinds of praise for Puljujarvi on that front and on others. But Sid ends up being the one who takes it to the net, and Beauvillier kind of cleans it up there at the end. And then Evgeny Malkin skates through what looked like half of the Detroit franchise to set up that O'Connor goal that you're talking about. Gino was just really, really good. And Gino was out there with some young, fast guys playing against Detroit's young, fast guys. And I don't want to suggest he was matching them, MPH for MPH, but he got around. And on that one rush up the rink, I mean, that was something. So I'm not sure that I look at this as being outside of getting production from Sid and Gino. They both had 2 assists. Gino, by the way, achieved 800 assists with that second one. But I get what you're saying. I get that there's a feel that you're going to get goals for more than just, the same 3 or 4 guys. And I think that's only going to multiply as time goes on and more of these younger players get ingrained. Rutger McGroarty's obviously here for now, but you're probably looking at Vasily Ponomarev not far behind him, maybe Ville Koivunen. But even within who's already here, I think it's reasonable to expect that Puljujärvi is going to get his goals. The way he's performing in general, he's going to get some. Valtteri Pustinen's capable of doing that. Healthy scratch again in this one. And Hayes, can I just say something about Hayes here that's going to be a little bit off topic? I have a feeling that Hayes is going to be a guy that not everybody's going to get. He has a history, and this is wherever he's been, of not appearing to be the most dynamic player when he doesn't have the puck. He has almost like this, what do you call it with video games when you unplug the controller and the person will just kind of stand there or wiggle or whatever. That's his game when he doesn't have possession. And Sullivan and the staff have talked to him about it, but he's not exactly new to the league and it's going to be tough for him to change that. When he does get the puck, he's dangerous. He will make a really good pass, not a good pass, a really good pass. He will find the open man. He will contort around somebody to make sure that he's got a clean lane. And when he gets a chance to finish, he's going to do what he did last night. He and I were joking about it after the game. The puck was actually pretty much between his skates in front of him, which is an awful spot for a hockey shot. I mean, think of the way the stick is shaped. But he was able to just kind of dig under it and just shove it forward really hard. But it was bar down. So don't go, whether it's a good game or a bad game for him or for the team, sticking him with the next Jeff Carter or whatever other labels might be out there. He's not going to be a good scapegoat for you. He's just not. The guy's a pretty good hockey player. And he, too, can contribute to what your question brought up. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. It's wonderful to have hockey back. Let's do this again Monday.